Silence can be the heaviest burden a soul carries. You've seen the calm, the softness, the grace, but beneath that tranquil surface, there's often a storm. I'm Shi Heng Yi, and today we peel back the veil on a truth few dare to speak, the inner war behind the outer grace. In this episode, you'll uncover how societal conditioning teaches women to present serenity while chaos churns inside. We'll explore hidden pressures, guilt, expectations, unspoken trauma that weigh down the spirit. Using deep insights from Shaolin philosophy, you'll learn why surface beauty is mere illusion and how true strength comes from cultivating inner stillness. Stay with me as I share astonishing stories, a legendary Shaolin nun who mastered silence to conquer inner demons, and a forgotten rite where mindfulness was used as emotional armor for women in ancient temples. You'll discover how these rituals, often omitted from mainstream teachings, hold keys to modern healing. Near the midpoint, we'll examine a little-known principle, the Shaolin practice of empty mirror mind, a technique used by women to reflect pain without absorbing it. This method helped them endure suffering with clarity and emerge renewed. It's a powerful tool that's as relevant today as it was centuries ago. By the end, you'll walk away with 3 sacred practices: a Shaolin breathing ritual to still the inner tumult, a mindful embodiment exercise to reconnect with your true self, and an empowering mantra drawn from ancient nuns to anchor you in presence. This is not just history, it's a living guide to freeing yourself from invisible chains. Watch until the end to receive a final message that could transform how you understand grace, strength, and self-mastery. Welcome to Shaolin Soulfire. If your spirit seeks depth and awakening, subscribe now and join our journey into timeless wisdom. They taught her to smile before she could speak her truth. I am Shi Heng Yi, and I have witnessed this in many lives, especially in the silence behind a woman's eyes. From early years, many girls are not trained to listen inward. They are trained to listen outward, to adjust their tone, soften their needs, read the room, disappear when inconvenient, shine when expected. This is not compassion. It is survival masked as virtue. In Shaolin practice, we study energy. Where it flows freely, there is life. Where it is blocked, there is suffering. A woman conditioned to please often lives in a tight, hidden space within herself. Her true desires, emotions, even her pain, are locked beneath layers of performance. She smiles not because she is at peace, but because peace is demanded. But the breath tells no lies. That is why mindfulness is not luxury, it is liberation. When a woman returns to her breath, she steps outside the roles she's been forced to wear. She is not the helper, not the fixer, not the pleaser. She is simply here, awake, without duty, without disguise. In the monastery, we say, when you stop trying to be good, you become true. Many women confuse kindness with erasing themselves. But in truth, the world does not need more approval, it needs more authenticity. When a woman trains like a Shaolin monk, she doesn't learn to fight the world. She learns to stop betraying herself. She learns to sit in her body without apology, to speak when her throat trembles, to walk out of guilt and into presence. There is power in that stillness. Power that no one gives you and no one can take away. She is the one they call dependable, the one who holds everything together without falling apart. Her silence is seen as strength, her endurance as proof that she can handle more. And so more is given to her, more weight, more responsibility, more expectations. But no one asks what it costs. In ancient Shaolin taught, strength is never measured by how much you carry. It is measured by how still you remain when the weight is removed. True strength includes rest. It includes release. Without it, what begins as resilience slowly turns into quiet suffering. Many strong women lose their voice not because they are weak, but because they believe no one is listening. They have trained themselves to carry others, often forgetting how to care for themselves. In silence, they bury their anger. In silence, they suppress their exhaustion, until even their joy feels muted. But the way of inner mastery is not to keep enduring without question. It is to observe, to feel, to know when the energy is flowing and when it is blocked. Discipline is not only about effort, it is about wisdom. The wisdom to step back, to breathe, to speak, not to defend, but to release what no longer belongs inside the body. Shaolin monks practice stillness not to escape life, but to meet it fully. In the same way, a strong woman must reclaim stillness not as a luxury, but as a necessity, a place where her spirit is not responsible for holding anyone else, a space where silence becomes not suppression but sacred peace. When strength is balanced with softness, the warrior becomes whole, and in that wholeness there is no need to hide pain behind a smile. There is only presence, real, unshaken, enough. She is told she can have it all: a powerful career, a perfect home, a beautiful body, a happy family, a peaceful mind. She tries to be everything for everyone, yet quietly wonders why she feels so empty. In Shaolin teachings, the breath is sacred. It does not go in every direction at once. It flows with purpose, calm and steady. So must our energy. When a woman is pulled in too many directions, she begins to fragment. One part smiles for the world, another part aches from exhaustion. One part gives endlessly, another quietly disappears. This is not balance. This is slow erosion. The illusion of having it all is built on endless doing, but self-mastery is not about doing more. It is about doing less, with deeper awareness. It is knowing which role is real and which is only noise. It is choosing where to place your attention, your care, your life force. In the monastery, we are taught that even the strongest warrior cannot swing the sword in all directions at once. Focus is power. Clarity is peace. A woman who masters herself does not chase everything. She listens inward and honors the rhythm of her soul. Sometimes that means saying no. Sometimes that means walking away from what looks perfect on the outside. She does not need to prove her worth by achieving every role. Her worth is already present in how deeply she breathes, in how calmly she moves, in how truthfully she lives. To have it all is not the goal. To live aligned is, because when energy is directed with purpose, even a single breath can carry more power than 1,000 empty actions. And in that stillness, there is no pressure to be everything, only the peace of being exactly who you are. In a world that rewards speed, dominance, and control, many women have learned to lead with force. To survive, they sharpen their edges, they chase, conquer, compete. They move like warriors, but often forget the wisdom of the healer within. This is not weakness, it is adaptation, but it comes with a price. In ancient Taoist and Shaolin philosophy, balance is the law of life. Yin and yang, soft and strong, still and active, must exist in harmony. When one dominates the other, the spirit begins to crack. A woman who lives only in her masculine energy may succeed outwardly, but feel disconnected inwardly. She may lose touch with the gentle, intuitive part of herself, the part that doesn't strive but senses, the part that doesn't force but flows. Softness is not the absence of strength, it is strength refined. The river carves stone not by power, but by persistence. The moon controls oceans not with noise, but with quiet rhythm. This is the feminine principle, subtle yet unstoppable. Self-mastery means returning to this balance, honoring both the fire that takes action and the water that nourishes rest. It is the discipline to know when to lead and the wisdom to know when to surrender. Shaolin monks do not only train in strikes and forms, they also sit in stillness. They listen, they breathe, because movement without presence becomes chaos, and force without softness becomes suffering. When a woman reclaims her feminine nature, she is not giving up power, she is returning to it. She no longer imitates strength, she embodies it, grounded, whole, unshaken. True power does not live in hardness, it lives in harmony. And when the inner yin and yang come into balance, the spirit no longer fights to survive. It rises silently and leads. Some pain does not begin with you, but it lives in you. A mother's unspoken grief, a grandmother's silent sacrifice, a lineage of women who were taught to survive, not to feel. These stories don't always arrive as words. They arrive as patterns, as instincts, as fears that have no name. Shaolin wisdom teaches that what is not made conscious is passed on. Just as a river carries the memory of the mountains it flows through, we carry the memory of those who came before us, in our breath, in our body, in our choices. Many women carry wounds that were never theirs to begin with. The fear of speaking up, the habit of putting others first, the quiet belief that they must earn love by enduring pain. These are not simply behaviors. They are inherited imprints, echoes of past suffering, passed through generations. But the cycle can end. It ends not with resistance, but with awareness. Mindfulness is the discipline of presence. It allows us to pause long enough to notice the pattern, to feel the emotion, to witness the wound without becoming it. This witnessing is the beginning of healing. When a woman sits in stillness and breathes deeply into her own story, she does not only heal herself, she heals her line. She becomes the gate where the past no longer controls the future. In the monastery we are taught, pain transforms when it is honored, not avoided. The wound becomes wisdom when it is met with attention, not shame. To face the pain passed down through blood is not easy, but it is sacred work. It is the quiet revolution that frees not only the self, but generations to come. And in that moment of presence, something ancient begins to dissolve, making space for something whole to rise. Freedom is not granted by others. It is not a gift, not a law, not a favor. It is a state of being already alive within you, waiting to be remembered. Many women spend their lives waiting to be chosen, to be praised, to be seen, waiting for a sign that it is safe to speak, to live, to dream. But freedom does not wait. It is quiet and still, like breath. It appears the moment you stop asking for permission to be whole. In Shaolin tradition, there is a story of a monk who trained for years inside temple walls, but his spirit felt confined, not free. One day, he left behind the safety of structure and walked into the forest with only his robe and breath. There, in the stillness of trees and silence, he discovered something the temple could not teach: sovereignty. True freedom does not always look loud. It is not about rebellion, it is about remembrance. The moment a woman stops measuring herself by roles, by expectations, by approval, she begins to return to herself. This path takes courage. It requires shedding layers built by society, family, even culture. It asks a woman to trust her own voice, even if it trembles, to trust her path even when it is not yet clear. Discipline plays a quiet role here. It is the daily choice to return to awareness, to turn inward instead of outward, to sit in solitude and listen, not to the noise of the world, but to the truth beneath the silence. Freedom is not loud, it is steady. It does not arrive with fanfare. It awakens slowly, breath by breath, when a woman stops chasing the life she's been told to live and starts walking the one her soul remembers. A woman's beauty is praised, admired, measured, but often it becomes her cage. From a young age, she is taught to view her body from the outside in, to see herself through the eyes of others. She learns to shrink, to enhance, to correct, to mold herself into someone else's ideal. Over time, the body becomes a battlefield, not a sanctuary. Admiration turns into pressure. Attention becomes control. And slowly she begins to forget that her body was never meant to be a display. It was meant to be a home. In Shaolin philosophy, the body is sacred. It is not worshipped for its shape, but honored for its energy. Monks do not train for appearance. They train for harmony between body, breath, and spirit. Without that harmony, even the strongest form is empty. When beauty becomes a performance, the spirit fades into the background. And when the spirit is neglected, no amount of physical perfection can bring peace. Self-mastery asks a different question. How does your body feel when no one is watching? Does it feel safe, strong, alive? A woman who returns to herself does not decorate the shell while abandoning the soul. She nourishes her body as a vessel of presence. She moves not to impress but to awaken. She does not chase beauty. She radiates wholeness. The discipline lies in shifting the gaze inward, in listening to the quiet signals of the body, in honoring rest, breath, nourishment, stillness. This is not neglect, it is devotion. True beauty cannot be held in a mirror. It is felt in the way she walks into a room with calm, with rootedness, with knowing. And when her spirit returns to its rightful place, her body is no longer a battleground. It becomes sacred ground, a temple of truth. She notices the tension before anyone speaks. She feels the shift in tone, the unspoken needs, the weight of what others cannot say. And without being asked, she carries it. She smooths the conflict, holds the silence, makes space for everyone else's emotions while tucking away her own. This is emotional labor, invisible, unpaid, and expected. Many women carry this weight daily, in families, in friendships, in workplaces. Yet when they express fatigue or sensitivity, they're told they're overreacting, too emotional, too soft. But what they offer is not weakness, it is presence. In Zen practice, subtle awareness is a form of mastery. To sense what is not said, to feel beneath the surface, to know without being told. This sensitivity, when honored, becomes a gift, but when ignored or dismissed, it turns into exhaustion. The cost is heavy: A woman who absorbs the emotions of others may lose connection with her own. She may become so focused on harmony that she forgets what her own truth feels like. And in trying to keep everyone else from breaking, she quietly cracks inside. Shaolin discipline teaches that energy must be protected. Boundaries are not barriers, they are containers for strength. A woman who respects her own limits is not selfish, she is wise. Inner mastery means knowing when to hold space and when to step back, when to offer comfort and when to let others face their own storms. It means trusting intuition not just for others, but for herself. Sensitivity is not a flaw, it is a compass. But like any tool, it must be used with balance. When a woman reclaims her energy, she does not close off, she refines. She no longer gives everything away. She learns to feel deeply and still remain whole. There comes a moment when a woman becomes tired, not from doing too much, but from being too much. Too many roles, too many expectations, too many names that are not her own. She has been called wife, daughter, mother, leader, lover. She has been shaped by duty, by tradition, by image, but beneath it all, she wonders, who am I without the titles? Shaolin wisdom teaches, when the cup is full, it cannot receive, but when it is empty, it becomes open to life. To become the empty vessel is not to be hollow, it is to be free, free of assumptions, free of the need to prove, free of the weight of who she's supposed to be. This emptiness is not absence, it is clarity. It is the spaciousness that allows the breath to deepen, the mind to quiet, the soul to return. In Zen, the empty vessel is the highest form of readiness. It holds nothing, yet has room for everything. It clings to nothing, yet receives all things with grace. Inner mastery begins when a woman stops searching outside herself. She no longer tries to live up to a name, a role, or a version of perfection. She sits, she breathes, she becomes no one, and in that space, she becomes whole. Discipline in this path is not effort, it is surrender. It is the quiet choice to release the false and welcome the real. No longer burdened by image or identity, she begins to feel life moving through her, not as a role to perform, but as a truth to embody. Only presence, only breath, only now. And in this now, there is no title needed. There is only the quiet power of a woman who has returned to herself. The path to truth is not always loud. Sometimes it is found in the quiet moments when you finally stop carrying what was never yours. This journey is not about becoming someone else. It's about remembering who you were before the world told you who to be. The strength you seek is already within you, not in perfection, not in performance, but in presence, in stillness, in breath. Each day, choose to come back to yourself with softness, with honesty, with the discipline to let go of what no longer serves your spirit. You do not need to explain your worth. You do not need to earn your place. You only need to return to the part of you that is whole, even when unseen. Thank you for walking this path with us today. If this message spoke to your soul, like this video and subscribe to Shaolin Soulfire, where ancient wisdom meets modern awakening. Until next time, may your breath be steady and your spirit at peace.